현재 진보도는 힘이죠. 오늘 모는 진보가 되어도 그렇다 감선도 실만도东巴特将拉给小菜为了一切众生，请大家发菩提心。下面我们念维摩诘经的藏文传承啊。对了，자고르장집상 후이나 띠르 족대도 이브르삼브르샤테강 리당 셈당 날라 무스탁바당 등허당 똥바당 덕메버 똑바테는 시르포 강양 리지나디 용서 뽕을 머sty와텐 코리 진막출전 셈친기 돈주를 지수쇼바는 탑케소 그냥양 강 리당 셈당 나드남 판석 직내식도 사라양 마연 냥바양 마연 바 똑바테는 시르포 강양 리당 셈당 나르남 신도 제와당 고버 머티바테는 탑소 자포른들타테 상주선 화 나베 랑가셈 이브르 삼브르샤 모티티 이브르 셈바당 이브르 머셈브르 머샤고 대지시르제나 대지시르제나 카르팅 이브르 셈발랑네나노 테네 시비추소 저테 이브르 머셈발랑네나노 냔투지 셈소 냔투지 추소 데스타베나 상주선 화 이브르 셈바당 머셈발랑 이브르 머시오 그런 데라 망네바는 상주선 그 쇼여데 그런 소수께우 쇼여라 마연 법비 쇼여야 마연 바테는 상주선 그 쇼여로 그런 코로라 쇼여를 뇽몽바 쇼여 마연 바는 상주선 그 쇼여로 그 닝을렌 데버 똑브리양 쇼여 단데 용숨 닝을렌 데버 쇼여 마연 바테는 상주선 그 쇼여로 강 드저 톰버 양 쇼여를 라드기 탐철레 양 덕버는 데바 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 후 쇼여로 강 탐짐짐베 이시 초르와라 쇼여라 디 마임 버 이시 토버 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 후 쇼여로 강 뎀버 양 쇼라 예르티 마임 버 뎀바 저 토버 셰바 양 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 후 쇼여로 뎀바질라 뎀바지용 쇼라 이르라 티마임 버 뎀버 토버 셰바는 야 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 후 쇼여로 강 낭도 소소 토발라 쇼여도 삼진도 츠퍼티가 용선 좀바양 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 후 쇼여로 강 마티바 소소 토발라 이르라 니버시 쇼여 용서 마임 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 된점점 종 쇼여 스타와 탐치티 예르 양 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 센전 탐치 인던즈도 쇼여 뇽모버 쳐 버니르 양 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 웬발라양 슈 리당 셈 자피 네장 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 강솜라 쇼여라 추지양 예르 샤바양 쇼여 마임 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 동바 닐라 쇼여도 마임 쇼여지 용던 탐치 소르 쇼여 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 사마메바 쇼여라 셈chen 랍트 트루 샤바 무기장 도버르 샤바 쇼여 바테는 쇼여 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 몬바메바 쇼여라 삼진도 트핀로버 톰비 쇼여 바테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 몬브른도 시드 머시바라 쇼여라 게비사와 탐진 몬브른도 시바 르준 머쇼바요 쇼여 테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 바로도 첨바 트릭장 쇼여라 셈chen 탐지지 셈도 쇼비 바로도 드와요 쇼여라 테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 몬브르 시바 트릭장 쇼여라 즈바즈바 용스 마임바 테는 상주선 쇼여로 강 담비 추라 네바요 쇼여 마임 쇼여 라람 감바 먹먹베 쇼여는 상주선 쇼여로 찻메바질라요 쇼여 zamben지네 제어 머르베 쇼바나 상주선 쇼여로 지스 담바 트릭장 쇼여 즈바탐지 쇼여 마임바 너 상주선 쇼여로 상던다 당연전다 뉴머른지바 쇼여 당연전다 뉴머른지바 원금르티바 쇼여나 상주선 쇼여로 강담바니버 저바 쇼여당 조라당 셈바당 추장 신도 쇼여 마임 바데는 상주선 쇼여로 Gang yang takbar pungwa shoyer telak gewa dang ma gewa yongso mugbar shoyer mayin baten shanchu sangwe shoyer lo shanchu sangwe shoyer lo gang zamchirji gang wab zhiba la gang shoyer hungi zhibi zamchirji gang wa wang gerwa la shoyer mayin banu shoyer lo gang wangbor nga yang shoyer la semchen tamchiki wangbom chogo dang chogo mayin bara shiba yang shobir semchenji shoyer shanchu sangwe shoyer lo gang tobar nga la nebala yang shoyer dena tebjang shagba topchilam ngombar gawa yang shoyer watena shanchu sangwe shoyer lo gang shanchu sangwe yang lo udun yongsen zhibala yong shoyer la yang lo raptor nam shibalam kibir shoyer watena shanchu sangwe shoyer lo gang lam lang neba shoyer la lam ngamba magneba shoyer yang watena yang shanchu sangwe shoyer lo gang jigne dang langtong go tsogum tsorwa yang shoyer la shin de jor martongwa shoyer wa den shanchu sangwe shoyer gang chu tham chi de me bim sanye de togba shoyer la 찬당 회식 장보당 산기기 거당 연용서 저버 예 쇼여와 때는 장주상 회 쇼여로 강양도당 랑산기기 ጽ르 돈바양 쇼여라 산기기 추레 만님바양 쇼여와 때는 장주상 회 쇼여로 강랑전 랍터 넘버 딱버 결비 추 담지기 지순조와 쇼여라 샘전 담지 Chirtar Mubavjan the Shuyer Tombala Shuyer Watin Chanchusan Hui Shuyer Lo, Kansan Gigi Jan Tamchilayan, Shindan Jigbadan, Chaba Mebadan, Namki Ramjan, Stobayan Shuyer was not so Shubadan, Tomer Kobi San Gigi Janga Yondum Kobatumba, Shuyer Watin Chanchusan Hui Shuyer Lo, Gunga Chukin Korlor up to Koradan, Yonsam Ningalan de Bachimbo Tomba, Shuyer was Chanchusan Watin. Shanchu Sanghui Shoba Mahtoba, Shoyer Watin, Shanchu Sanghui Shoyerlo, Tamband Shaban and Javorjon Gerwadan, Hanjik the Hugbal Heave, Data Le, Heave, Gaston, Lana Mebayan, Topozo Shanchu, Simke, so Nava, young Takbar of Gavra Shavi, Nava Na, young Takbar of Gavra Shavi, Legative Jabago.
We'll continue on the Vimalakirti Sutra today. Well, Vimalakirti Sutra will continue from last class about how Vimalakirti was requested or asked from Manjushri, and when Manjushri asked him about his illness, then Vimalakirti gave lots of teachings to Manjushri, right? I'm not sure how Manjushri took that. Probably learned a lot from Vimalakirti. Well, today the content we're going to talk about is mainly about the differences between Theravada content or teachings and Mahayana teachings. This is actually quite important. I asked people to try to listen to this class, because even if you listen to one class, it will probably bring you some new insights and some new understanding, because people don't really understand what Buddhism is, even after many years of learning and practicing. But some of the very deep teachings are still their blind spots. In fact, I myself, by learning this, I feel that I have abundant new insights every day. I myself actually started studying Buddhism ever since I was very young, and I've been studying for 30 years. I'm quite familiar with lots of the teachings of esoteric and exoteric teachings, but at least I wouldn't consider myself as excellent in understanding all, but I have never really given up on listening. I've been swimming in the ocean of wisdom of Buddhism for all these years. And every day when I look and read and study Vimalakirti Sutra, I myself actually have even more profound and deepened faith and understanding of Mahayana Buddhism. Therefore, I think for lots of people, if you listen to this class, you will definitely receive some profits, some benefits from listening this class. I'm not trying to attract more people into my class. In fact, I myself don't really quite care about how many people we have over here to attending my classes. I don't have grasping towards the number of people attending these classes. A few hundred, a few more thousands of people attending. It doesn't really matter to me because I can't really see who's there to attending classes. But I myself really hope that for those of you who are listening to this class, you could have a better understanding of Buddhism and have a more firm faith in Buddhism. I don't want to expand too much at the beginning, otherwise I will lost my time for a later part of the class, because we have, in fact, quite a bit of content today. Therefore, I don't want to be to elaborate at the beginning. Well, today we'll continue from the place where we left last time. In fact, last time I wanted to finish to the point where it's talk about wisdom and skillful means, but we didn't finish. Well, anyhow, we talk about the contemplate the body as impermanent, suffering, empty, and no self. It's called wisdom. And although the body is ill, always existed in samsara to benefit all without tiring, this is called skillful means. In fact, impermanence over here, this is called impermanence and suffering. This is the wisdom of mundane wisdom, and empty and no self. This is the ultimate wisdom. So over here on the first part, it talks about the two parts of wisdom: impermanent, suffering, empty, and no self. If you could understand the meaning of that, you will be able to have a better understanding of what wisdom means in Buddhism. In fact, impermanence is really important to understand, because in the world, people talk a lot about impermanence. But how do you understand that? Once you truly understand that, then you'll be able to understand the suffering, emptiness, and no self very easily. You can practice up on impermanence. You can observe from your life to understand what impermanence is, and you could deepen your understanding of such, and it will help you a lot. In the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra, it says that the pride manhood is not long. Luxuriance meets with illness. Life is swallowed by death. Nothing exists eternally. There is nothing that would last forever. I really consider this is a very good quote, because we don't have that much time in our life. Our beautiful looks will wither during our illness, and our life will be swallowed by death when time comes. There's nothing that we can rely up on. There's nothing that eternally exists and that's reliable for us to trust. So once you understand this profound meaning of impermanence, everything else would be very easy to understand. In the sutra, in one of the sutra, it talks about how there's a story of a prostitute named Lotus. She's extremely beautiful, and everyone really likes her because of her beauty and appearance. And once all of a sudden, out of the blue, she had the thought of getting ordained. She walked through a forest where there's a creek, and she was really thirsty, so she was drinking from that creek. Maybe because at that time there's no mirror, therefore she's never really seen the appearance of herself. So she had no idea of how she looked until she looked into that creek and that water, and she looked into water and thought, I look so beautiful, I can't get ordained. It's going to be such a pity if I get ordained. Maybe that's why people, before they get ordination, they would look into the mirror and try to visualize themselves without hair. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe about 20 years ago, there was a woman in Tibet, in the Tibetan region. She said that I want to get ordained, but I really love my hair. I love my hair too much, and I can give up everything else except my hair. So over here in this story, this prostitute Lotus, she at that moment had the thought of not getting ordained because of her beauty. And then the Buddha, at that time, through his observation, saw that Lotus was ready to get ordained, and therefore the Buddha manifested as an even much more beautiful woman in front of Lotus. And then they walked through the forest together and into the city. And halfway through, they were tired, they were taking a rest. Then the woman who was the manifestation of the Buddha put her head on the lap of Lotus and taking a nap. But during that time, that woman, whose manifestation of the Buddha, manifested death, and then the corpse started to rotten, and maggots started to eat the corpse, and Lotus was really scared. And at that time, Lotus felt really afraid and went to the Buddha and tried to get some teachings from him. So the Buddha taught Lotus, saying that the young will eventually get old, the strong will eventually get weak, the gathered ones will eventually be dispersed, and all the wealth that you gather will eventually disappear. So that's the 4 teachings given by the Buddha to Lotus. After listening to such teaching, Lotus, the prostitute, attained fruition. So we can see from this story, at the moment when Lotus wanted to get ordained, she understood impermanence and saw the suffering, and then we can understand that impermanence is the cause and suffering is the fruition, emptiness, and non-self is also the fruition of it. So from such a way, you can understand that this is the wisdom, and that's why it's called wisdom. We know people that are very easy to get sick. Just like the bodhisattvas, if they were to get sick, even if they go to hospitals and even if they live in hospitals, through such skillful means, they'll help people inside hospitals, and the sentient beings don't get tired of being benefited by those bodhisattvas. And from time to time, I would think of Jigme Ponsog Rinpoche. When he was alive, his manifestation was that he manifested in such a way that he often gets sick. When we went to India, we brought lots of medicine with us. And Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche also brought along a doctor who could help him to take medicines and so on. When he went to the United States as well as in the mainland China area and so on, he manifested in such a way that he went to lots of hospitals. In Chengdu, many hospitals were visited by Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche in Sichuan province. And sometimes when I pass by those areas nowadays, and I would think that, oh, Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche was there and benefited sentient beings. At that time, I sometimes felt that how come a guru also gets sick? Maybe for Westerners, you don't really understand what it means, because you would probably think that I also get sick, and what's so different about my teacher getting sick? Because well, you may not feel the difference, but really, when you get sick and having suffering, you probably feel very tired of people around you. But when bodhisattvas got sick, they would benefit beings around them. Just like Vimalakirti, when he's sick and many people visiting him, and they all receive teachings from Vimalakirti. And how about you? Did you give teachings to other beings who visit you in the hospital? Did you benefit them? Or maybe instead of teaching, you would scold them and maybe create suffering to self and others. So that's the difference between the enlightened ones and the mundane beings. So I really like this quote over here, although the bodies will always exist in samsara, but to benefit all without tiring, this is called skillful means. And then in contemplating the body, one should realize that the body does not transcend illness, and the illness does not transcend the body, and that is the illness and this body are neither new or old. This is called wisdom. In fact, the body is the illness, and illness is the body. There is no difference. There is no before and after. There is no new and no old. The body and illness, from this level, we can see that it seems from reading this, the body does not transcend the illness, and the illness does not transcend the body. When does the illness occur? When does the body occur? There's neither new nor old or before and after. Because of the differences of additions, there are some other additions of translation says that in fact this is relying upon each other, the body and illness, that is. In some editions, that's how it was translated. From the understanding aspect, we can understand this just as Master Sun Zhao stated. Everything is compounded through causes and conditions, and our body is just compounded by the five skandhas. Therefore, the body is not apart from illness. When we talk about illness, we can talk about it from a very narrow aspect, but from a more vast perspective, illness is something that would break you. So from that aspect, we can call this illness as well. Our body and mind and illness could be understood in such a way. For people who understand cause and conditions, you will be able to understand that this is all interdependent. This is all compounded of cause and conditions. For people who understand such, then you'll be able to understand that our body is really no other than illness. They are interdependent. It's a compounded cause and condition. Bodhisattvas who understand this could be called wisdom. I think when I was teaching on Lotus Sutra, I quoted from that when I was talking about the downfalls of the faults of body. I quoted this because we because we know that some of our Sangha members, they would feel that a headache and footache or heartache, some kind of aches every day. So we do understand those kind of illness from this aspect. However, we also should understand that the body is really no other than illness, and they are interdependent. And by understanding such, then that is called wisdom. Well, life is suffering. Even though from the appearance on the face value you may look healthy, but you never know how long you can last that, and how you can prolong that healthy state. Ponsok Rinpoche often asks how the health is, and our answer would always be it's something similar than with yesterday. This is all based on cause and condition, and by understanding that, such is called wisdom. And now what is skillful means? So one's body will be ill, but never die is called skillful means. In the Theravada tradition, such as in some of the Vinaya teachings, where it talks about people who practice in the Shravakayana, they have such renunciation and such aversion to their body, and they would give up their physical body and enter into extinguishment state. But bodhisattvas are not like such. The bodhisattvas would rely on such a body and would use such a body to benefit others and not enter into a state of extinguishment. The bodhisattva knows that the body has faults, just as Lao Tzu stated that I have the biggest mistake, and that biggest mistake or fault is that I have a body, because all the suffering and all the faults are generated from having such a body. In fact, the bodhisattvas have a very different view on body than the Theravada, because Theravada practitioners would like to give up their body because the body brings such suffering to them. However, from the Mahayana point of view, they would see the body as something, as a tool that they can use to practice. Therefore, I think that the practitioners over here, you should not have such aversion to your body. Maybe you think that you look really ugly. Maybe you think that you often get ill. This physical body brings you such sickness, and you would do things that brings suffering to this body on purpose, such as plastic surgery. And sometimes the plastic surgery, when they don't go well, you may end up looking even more ugly than you used to be. But maybe it's okay, whatever you like to do. Okay, so let's continue. Manjushri, thus, should bodhisattvas who are ill control the mind or to tame the mind? How? They should not abide in the tamed mind nor the not tamed mind. Why is that? What does that mean? The other day I didn't drink water, so the translators were not happy. Therefore, I would take a few more sips of tea today. Back in the end of 90s, when I was doing simultaneous interpreting to Jigme Ponsok Rinpoche in Singapore, I thought it was really convenient. And during the Pure Land Dharma Assembly, Jigme Ponsok Rinpoche was talking and I was interpreting, and he was so fast. So when I was translating and I was really rushing, and sometimes I really couldn't do anything, and from time to time he hasn't really finished the one sentence, and I haven't even started translating, and Pengsu Rinpoche would have finished 2 or 3 sentences already, so I was really in a rush. But at that time I felt that was not bad. But at the very beginning I was teaching on the Buddhist logics, on the valid cognition. I was really fast, but now I think I really controlled my speed. I could also slow down, but just like some other teachers teach nowadays.
那这个有机菩萨呢，就是他应该这样调伏气，就是他首先呢不住气中，就是不住
The bodhisattvas should control their mind as such. They do not abide in the tamed mind, nor the non-tamed mind. The tamed mind over here refers to the Theravada or Shravakayana practitioners, because they would enter into the extinguished state, or that sense of serenity. Nor they would abide in the uncontrolled mind, where as the mundane beings, their mind are just like a monkey mind. They're so distracted by all the worldly things. Why is that? Why would the bodhisattvas do that? If you were to abide in the non-controlled mind, it is called the mind of the fools. It is called the action or the dharma of the fools, because they don't understand what the truth of the dharma is. They're so distracted all the day, especially nowadays. I think in this era, all the modern people are so distracted by WeChat, by the Twitter, by games, by this short clips platforms nowadays. So people are so distracted by entertainment. And nowadays, in fact, on our internet, people have such addiction to internet. It is very similar to drug addiction. Some psychologists and some scientists, they made experiments on the white mouse, on the rats, and they made different researches on the neurons, on the brains of those experimental drugs. And the brain's reaction, the neurons' reaction to such drugs is very similar to, those activities are very similar to people's addiction to entertainment, to internet, and so on. Therefore, nowadays, the internet and the addiction to such entertainments are very similar. It's just taking different forms. And the mundane beings, maybe we do many things. We are not even able to control our own actions anymore. In Larongar, in the past, we didn't really want to use cell phones at all. Don't even mention about internet. But from last year, we started to do management mainly on our cell phones. And once you don't have your cell phone in your hands, and people would start to look for it. In fact, this kind of reliance on cell phones are no other than drugs, and this is defilement as well. So we should, so as mundane beings, we should not abide in such uncontrolled mind, because that's the mind of fools. And the tamed mind or controlled mind is the kind of mind that you would abide in the serenity for many eons, even for those Shravakas. And that's not a place to abide either. But to abide to abide in neither the mind that is tamed nor not tamed. To study this sutra, we should understand how Shravaka and Shravaka actions and their practices, and more importantly, we should understand the Mahayana's practice as well as the actions and practices. In fact, in majority of people, their view of Buddhism is mainly through the perspective of Shravakayana. And people don't really know the view, practice, and action of bodhisattvas. Of course, it's good, because as beginners, Shravakayana's practice is something that would be very much beneficial because it's very pure, it's very proper. But for those people who start to develop a higher understanding of emptiness and so on, and you will be able to understand more of how bodhisattvas would carry out their actions. Because Shravakayana teaching is not all of is not all of Buddhism's teaching. And once you're stable in Mahayana teaching, and then you can study Tantrayana, then you have a much more different perspective. I myself have lots of confidence. I would consider it's quite important to study such texts, especially for people who study Shravakayana, studied Mahayana, and even get into the Tantrayana. Then you will be able to understand the profound meanings of this text, of this Vimalakirti Sutra. Of course, there's no conflict between the actions of Bodhisattva and the Shravakas. Because nowadays, the Shravakayana's actions and morality is very much similar to the law and to the ethics and morality of the mundane world of all different countries, such as no killing, and no sexual misconduct, and no stealing, and no lying, and so on. This is quite similar. But the Bodhisattva Yana or Mahayana Bodhisattvas, their actions are not bind to these actions. Therefore, that's why people don't have much of the acceptance towards Bodhisattva's actions. So we'll talk about the contrast between the Theravada or the Shravakayana's actions and the Bodhisattva's actions. Nowadays, people have lots of misunderstanding towards Bodhisattvayana or the Bodhisattva's actions. To be within samsara and do not undertake polluted or defiled, afflicted practice. To abide in nirvana and never become extinguished. And this is the practice of bodhisattva. So over here, in the following, we talk about many different activities of bodhisattvas. In fact, as mundane beings, we're so easily to get tinted by the worldly activities and eventually even given up on our own practices. It's very easy to get tinted by the worldly defilements. We're very easy to get influenced by the external environment. However, the bodhisattvas are not easy to get defiled by the external environment. They do not enter into such state of extinguishment. They would, the Shravakas would abide in nirvana and become extinguished. But bodhisattvas are not like such. They would after having attainment of the realization, they would continue to come back to benefit sentient beings and to manifest in different ways to help sentient beings in this samsara, just as in the Abhidhammasaka Sutra stated, where it says that bodhisattvas free from all karmas of samsara are abiding in samsara with compassion. This is what we said, that the Buddha Dharma is not separate from the mundane, the mundane phenomena, everything that happens in this world. The Theravada practitioners are often afraid of the defilements of the mundane world, just as some of our practitioners, they are so afraid of getting in touch with other people. But the bodhisattvas, their actions and their minds are very much different than that. Their actions are, the bodhisattvas are just like the lotus flower which grows out of mud but not tinted by mud. This is the action of bodhisattvas. It is neither the practice of ordinary people nor the practice of the wise and sagely. And over here, this is the Sravakayana. The Kumarajiva actually, in fact, says that the ordinary people usually they would conduct good or bad or the actions that is without neither good nor bad. Nor the bodhisattvas would practice the wise and sagely. Or over here it also means Shravaka. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Their action do not have attachment like ordinary beings, nor the bodhisattvas do not abide in such the action that is serene and not coming out of that boundary of serenity and purity. It is neither defined practice nor a pure practice. This is the practice of bodhisattva. In fact, their activity is not defiled. They wouldn't practice anything of killing, stealing, or sexual misconduct, and so on. They wouldn't do anything like such, nor they wouldn't practice or they wouldn't carry out their actions in completely pure practice and abiding there and never coming out. Nowadays, people usually view the Buddhists as they have to have pure practice or pure action. That's how people view the Buddhists. In fact, pure practice is also an extreme. Just as how some mundane monks and nuns, they would wear very humble clothing and walk in such a manner that is very dignified, and people would consider that, oh, that's very good monastic. But when a monastic or when a Buddhist is acting in a rather outrageous way, people would consider them not as a good Buddhist or a good person. That's not necessarily true. Just as this recently passed, this author who recently passed away. His name's Jin Yong, and he's an author for those kung fu novels. In fact, Jin Yong's son died from a car accident, and he read lots of books from Theravada tradition, and he started, and his view is very much rooted in the Theravada tradition, and therefore his novel is mainly taking that view of the pure action and pure practice. And after his novels were then changed into or put onto the silver screen many people got the influence from him, and lots of people nowadays have the understanding of how Buddhists should have pure actions are mainly from receive the influence from this person. And when he was older, he realized his mistake of his view, but that was already too late. In fact, I'm not targeting him and saying that he made people having wrong idea of Buddhism, but in fact, this is the common a common phenomenon that happened at that time. In fact, I think in the West, they have a different understanding of Buddhism, and they're not only attracted by the pure actions of Buddhism. In fact, they are attracted by the skillful means of Buddhism. They're very much accepting on those aspects of Mahayana Buddhism. I think nowadays people have only a little bit of understanding on the surface, but they don't understand the profound teachings of Buddhism. And people nowadays only judge the book on its face, on its cover. If you've seen the little drama that's played on Vimalakirti, he actually rode a motorcycle. There was a little drama that was shown. So he was riding a motorcycle with smoking pipes. How could a bodhisattva do that, you may ask? Therefore, my point is that if you could only understand it from the Theravada tradition, then you could only understand the pure practice. But if you could open up your mind and broaden your view to Mahayana tradition, then your understanding would be very much different. In mainland China and Theravada tradition, in fact, they would consider that Buddhism is very much on the teachings of morality. They only talk about the ethics. They only talk about how, you're a Buddhist, then you are vegetarian, you don't eat meat. They don't really talk about how Buddhism is about benefiting sentient beings with skillful means, and they don't talk about how afflictions are no other than wisdom. In fact, those teachings are probably too high for people to reach, to understand, and maybe because some people are really not ready for it, they don't have such sharp faculties. It's quite important to abide in those, because abiding in the Shravakayana's actions, there's no danger in it at all. But don't be satisfied just simply because of that. It's not dangerous. You should also strive to practice in the Bodhisattva's way as well. So, we'll continue. Although in the past one performed the practice of Mara, of the four Maras in the present, one subjugated a host of Maras. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. In different translations, it's a little bit different. It is said that although there are the manifestation of Maras, but they've already surpassed that stage of understanding those Maras are solid. In fact, those Maras are no other than the manifestation of their mind. They've already understood that, but still they would manifest in such a way that they would subjugate the host of Maras. Sometimes they would subjugate the Maras through the mundane ways. They would subjugate the Maras through wrathful ways. And just as how a mother would tame the child through wrathful ways, if the compassion way doesn't work, and sometimes they would even beat the children, then the child would listen to the mother. Similarly, the bodhisattvas would also similarly do the same carry out the same actions to subjugate the Maras, and just as the wrathful date qualities and so on. There are some differences between the bodhisattvas, bodhisattvayana as well as the Sravaka and the Sravaka. In Tantrayana, we talk about the
这些在生命当中是没有的，但实术当中呢，就是它也是不能离开的，就是亲近和不亲近呢，就是到一定的时候呢，就是也是会平衡的啊，好像那个万三通规经里面就是引用一个大部落的这个教者啊，就是说是持戒比丘呢，就是不升这个天堂，婆戒比丘呢就是不堕地狱啊，就为什么呢？因为法界当中就是没有次和犯的用啊，就是这句话还是我们就是刚才讲的这个亲近不亲近心也好，或者是相互魔动也好，菩萨呢就是在某种意义上面呢，就是他应该是超越了一种这个末和天也好，地狱和这个天堂也好，但是呢，就是在众生面前的话呢，如果没有到这种境界之前，也应该可以现象啊，就可以现象。
This is from the ultimate level we're talking about that. But before we realize the ultimate truth, the manifestation of good and bad and evil and good are still continue to manifest. To seek omniscience, but not to seek in the improper time. What is improper time? The Shravakas would seek for omniscience and enlightenment to look at improper time because their time is not matured yet. They have not benefited sentient beings yet. But for bodhisattvas, they wouldn't enter nirvana at improper time when the time is immature. And they would wait for the maturation of the cause and conditions. Just as when the Buddha noticed, this sentient being is ready, is mature for the Dharma, and then the Buddha would manifest in certain ways to benefit that sentient being and guide that sentient being to enlightenment. But Shravakas and some people who have not really attained that stage, they would try to benefit sentient beings at improper time when the situation is not immature, just as some of our Sangha members would try to benefit sentient beings and they end up being locked up by them. And they wouldn't succeed in such actions of many sentient beings. Over here, in Tibetan, in the Tang tradition, the Xuanzang's tradition, it also over here has two extra activities or practices of Bodhisattva. One is to seek for the Four Noble Truths at improper time. The Bodhisattvas would not do such a thing. This is the practice of Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattvas would not seek for the introspective enlightenment at the improper time. So the Xuanzang's version as well as the Sanskrit version are very similar to the Tibetan version, but the Kumarajiva's version does not have that included. Maybe he was too busy to translate those two practices over here. Some of the places are a little bit different. Anyhow, we'll continue. Although one contemplates the Dharma as birthless, it is deathless as well, not to yet they do not to enter the primary status of extinguishment of the complete emptiness. That's not the practice of Bodhisattva.
但是呢，就是有
one
些里面
contemplates
说
on
是
the
原理这个如见啊，就是原理如一切见，就是意思虽然他观呢，就是像声闻和缘觉，或者是我们这个实践人一样的，就是观这个12缘起，但是呢，就是他不属这个谢见，他这里的谢见呢，就不是正和谢章当中的谢，他意思是一切见解的色合，三文当中也是这样的，虽然他观了这个见解，但是呢，他不愿意这个落到一个见解当中，就是这就是菩萨的信任啊，就是这个具体你们怎么做再看看。然后菩萨呢，就是虽然色属一切众生，而不属呢就是爱主这个众生啊，就是他虽然用四色的方式来这个色所做的，但是呢，也不像这个天天的爱众生，就是爱得不得了，一看的这种。我们现在有些道友都是天天的是什么笑狗啊、笑猫啊，就一直这个，包括我也是在这个院子里面的下马去啊，就是这些，如果今天的是对他们执着的话，那就也解脱不了的，这是很不好的。就是一看的是整天的所有的时间，我倒是并没有，就是早上有时候给他们杀一点就是米啊，有些道友说是就是
In fact, I don't have too much grasping towards them. From time to time, I would give them some
园子里面的麻雀的经常见得到，我们都见不到的，我很恨你。
rice. Some of the Sangha members said that I really don't like you because see your sparrows could see you every day, but we can't.
就这个也是一种
I don't quite
菩萨
understand
是
that
不会爱
logic.
众的，就是他对众生，我们那天
Anyhow,
讲
the
爱见嘛，
bodhisattvas
他
do
不会
not
有
have
这样
such
的。
attachment of
然后
affection towards sentient
这个
beings.
菩萨呢，就
They
是
don't have
远离
such
了
a
这
view
种这
of
个，虽然就是
attachment.
乐于远离，就是乐于远离的一些身心的这种散乱啊，这
Although
些，
one
而不以
takes
身
pleasure
心
in
静，他不
transcendence,
会呢，就是身心
but
都入于
they
一
do
个
not
很
rely
寂灭，
on
就是
the
很寂静的
illumination
这
of
个
body and
他
mind.
一直
This is the practice of
虽然他就
bodhisattva.
是喜欢，
They
比如说修行的时候呢，就是远离
take
嘈杂，
pleasure
远离这个散乱
in
了，就这样的。但是呢，
quietude
他也不依
during
靠，就
their
是
practice.
身心都
They
全部都
enjoy
灭
that.
了，就是
But
不
they
像我们这个
don't
有些人得的什么这
abide
个
in
佛教徒当中有些也真的有这样的，
extinguished
就是因为他身心都就比较这个。不敢面对社会，就是它叫做社交忧郁症啊，就焦虑症，就是他这种谁都不敢面对，这是在佛教徒当中也是有些可能修行时间长了，就是跟谁都不敢看，然后也不敢接电话，也不敢说话，一说话的时候不如有时候好像像我们这样的，就什么样的人见到的话，那我们不管是坏人好人。
communicate with others, they would feel really fearful.
但有些修行人呢，常年闭关的话呢，有时候是不敢
In fact, some of the practitioners who are in retreat for too long of a period, they tend to have such
to have
such kind of
有些是就从小都是有的，有些是后来就是依靠环境啊，就是带来的，就是这样的。其实这个菩萨呢，就是他不是这样的，就是他虽然喜欢积极的，虽然他可能就是喜欢学习，但是呢，一旦需要的时候呢，他身心呢，就是他可以融入社会，就是这就是菩萨的行为。菩萨呢，就是虽然行善解而不会呢毁坏这个法性，这就是菩萨行为。他虽然呢，就是这个三界当中就是色界无色界的一切呢，就是他也可以去观光啊，去接受他们的一切。 但也不会呢，就是毁坏法性啊。就是比如说，我们到城市里面去，也许可能受到这个城市的影响，就是然后就我们有些道友，就是佛教徒也是在山里面修行很长时间，然后一到城市里面的时候，就开始这个被城市的，尤其是以前的社会习气比较重一点的人呢，马上就被这个吸住。但菩萨不是这样的，虽然他三界当中的好一切人世间的这个行为都去接受，可是呢，就是他的 信心发心呢，不会毁坏的。
But the bodhisattvas are not like such. They're not
觉醒的这种人事部分的话呢，他不会就是被受到这个影响，就是他一直呢，就是他的信心呢，就是这些呢，就是一直是就是非常这个亲近的。那么虽然呢，就是心里这个苦啊，就是现在的是这样的一个三界头吧，就是他那个证悟了这种苦心，但是呢，他仍然呢，就是执着本啊斗本，就是一直积累这个各种各样的善根，就是这是菩萨的行为啊，这一点一定要记住啊，不然我
emptiness to plant a host of virtuous roots. This is extremely important to remember. There are people who nowadays think that they understood what emptiness is, and maybe they've practiced Zen Buddhism, they practice the Maha-Ati, and then they would consider themselves understanding emptiness, and they stopped every virtuous actions. It's quite important to practice the good actions, to plant the virtuous deeds, such as prostration, such as offering lamps of water, and chanting the mantra and names of the Buddha. This is really important because let's look at the third Bhumi Bodhisattvas. They would still do so much to receive the Dharma. So we ourselves should not stop all of our virtuous deeds just because we received some kind of a high teachings. That's not good. And practicing the emancipation of formlessness, yet still save sentient beings. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Although practicing formlessness, there's no grasping towards the forms, yet this still saves sentient beings. The Bodhisattvas, no matter what you do, their actions of saving sentient beings are always practiced by them. They would never give up such actions. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva would always practice the good deeds to help sentient beings, to liberate sentient beings. As Mahayana practitioners, we should always remember such motivation. Even if it's the last day of your life, you should still try to benefit sentient beings. A Dharma master over here, who always talk about benefiting sentient beings, he was very ill a few days ago. He constantly talk about to liberate sentient beings is his responsibility, is what he has to do. I think this is very good. This is very good aspiration. Although practicing the emancipation of non-action to manifest the experience of our body, there's no wish or wishlessness. There's no aspiration. Yet they still have manifested the experience of the body. They do not give up on the sentient beings. A sutra it talks about, although understanding everything is formless, the sentient beings are empty, yet to understand that to uphold emptiness, yet still helping the sentient beings and still having compassion towards sentient beings, and to understand that to help the sentient beings is still upholding the view of emptiness. A Brahman promised to make offering to the Buddha, and the Buddha then brought his entourage to the Brahman's house, and at that time they couldn't go back, and then they were living. They were living in quite harsh conditions for 3 months and eating only horse feed. Then the Buddha explained that it was due to this cause and fruition, because in his past life he cursed someone that you are going to eat the horse feed, and that's why he received such kind of fruition. So the karma, the teaching of karma is still taught by the Buddha. Of course, in other explanations that It was only the manifestation of the Buddha because he is omniscient.
就是当时那个当中的话呢，有一个叫做日藏，就是他那个大马呢，就是变化成那个日藏，就是那个马。但是呢，就是佛陀呢，因为要跟他们就是交往吧，这交往的话呢，就是其实端住他们的这种相续当中的这些这个恶趣的这种众生，就是为了督促他们的话呢，实际上是就是佛陀呢在那里，佛陀其实明明知道是那个婆罗门呢，就是会忘记的，他因为佛陀是有这个智慧吧，但是呢，为了就是度这些众生的话呢，当时是
the Buddha manifested in such a way because through the omniscient wisdom of the Buddha, he knew that the Brahman who promised to offer him and his retinue would forget about his promise. Through the Theravada point of view and explanation, they would say that even the Buddha taught that the cause and fruition are true. Even the Buddha himself suffers from such conditions and is still under such condition. But from Mahayana teachings, it talks about how the Buddha has the omniscient wisdom and only manifests in such a way to benefit sentient beings through such kind of conditions or creating such conditions. There are lots of things that we cannot see and we cannot understand, the profound wisdom that we cannot understand. Therefore, that's the understanding and perspective from Mahayana Buddhism. So that talks about although there's the body that is manifested, but it is non-action. It is only through the wishlessness or emancipation of such wishlessness. Although practicing activation to activate all good practices, this is practice of bodhisattvas. The non-action and non-activation are both parts from the wishlessness, according to Master Sun Zhao, because the first part talks about the cause, and the non-activation talks about the cause, the fruition aspect. So, although practicing non-activation to activate all good practices, just as how the masters have such understanding, have such a view of nothing to take and nothing to abandon, yet their actions are still to practice the mantras and so on.
接下来呢，就是讲那个，虽然这个信呢，就是六波罗蜜多，
although practicing the six paramitas to universally understand the mind's fundamental attributes of sentient beings, this is the practice of bodhisattva.
同时也知道众生的这个行为，这就是菩萨的行为。
Understanding both the minds and
the
actions of sentient beings, just as how the Theravada traditions, the practitioners should practice the six paramitas to cultivate the virtuous roots in one's own mind stream. Yet the bodhisattvas would practice similarly the six paramitas, but such actions are dedicated to benefit sentient beings. The translation in Tibetan over here is actions, but in different translations it is a little bit different. Anyhow, understanding minds and mental attributes as well as actions of sentient beings. This is the practice of bodhisattva. Although practicing the six penetrations, so six numinous powers, they would not exhaust the flaws. Which means they do not abide in any kind of penetration. In some commentaries it says that the king of all the penetrations is to be joyous, to be happy. And bodhisattvas would consider that to benefit all sentient beings is the greatest happiness one can receive. Just as the Mahayana teachings, we learned that even in order to benefit sentient beings, even if one has to fall into hell realm to help them, it is still quite joyous. So that kind of action is the action of bodhisattva. In the Xuanzang's translation, there's another stanza or another teaching over here where it says that it is affected by any sort of defilement and not affected by any sort of defilement, and they are also devoid of any heterodox views. I think there's the passage also talks about that in Xuanzang's translation. Although practicing the four immeasurables, the immeasurable mind of compassion, of kindness, of equanimity, of joy, those are the four immeasurables. So, yet they do not desire birth in Brahma heaven. This is the practice of bodhisattva. Although practicing concentration, meditation, emancipation, and samadhi, and not to be born in corresponding heaven according to one's concentration. And then there's the sixth remembrance that is also included in some other translation. You can look it up. The six remembrances, such as remembrance to the Dharma, the deity, and so on. And although the practice of four fundamental foundations of mindfulness, never to transcend the body, sensation, mind, and dharmas, this is the practice of bodhisattva. And in fact, from this part onwards, this is the 37 practices, the 37 factors of enlightenment. I'm not going to be too elaborate over here. The Theravada would transcend the body, sensation, and mind and dharma, but the bodhisattvas would in fact use the body, sensation, mind, and dharma to benefit sentient beings. This is the practice of bodhisattva. Although practicing the four right efforts, the Theravada would give up all the following actions after attaining the four right efforts. But the bodhisattvas, after attaining such, would still not forsake exertion of body and mind. They're always on the way of diligence. That's the bodhisattva's practice. Unlike some of the unlike some of our Sangha members, they really don't want to volunteer. They really don't want to benefit others through their diligence in working. Just as recently we're changing board members, and some people are so happy. They're thinking, wow, I'm finally free. And they would give up everything. That's not really the practice of bodhisattvas, isn't it? Although practicing the four supernormal abilities to attain autonomy in freedom, in complete freedom in penetrations, they could have such great freedom in their numinous power, just like Rahula still abide in this world. That's the practice of Theravada. But the bodhisattvas would practice such to benefit sentient beings. This is a practice of bodhisattva. Although practicing in the context of five faculties to understand the sharp and dull faculties of all sentient beings, the Theravadas would practice the five faculties to have the perfect five faculties, and that's it for them. But the bodhisattvas would use such five faculties to discriminate the sharp and dull faculties, to understand the sentient beings' faculties. This is the practice of bodhisattva. although
菩萨呢，就
practicing
是他还要这个求什么呢？就佛的这个事情，
the
这就是菩萨的行为。然后七觉者就是七觉者的话呢，
powers to
跟
delight,
声闻乘不同
yet
的呢，就是
the
分别获
bodhisattvas
得
do
智慧，
delight
这
in
就是
seeking
菩萨
the
的
10
行为。
powers of a
就是
Buddha.
跟
This is the
如果
practice of
声闻乘的
bodhisattva.
话，这要得到
the
就是在这个得体之色和
The Theravada or Sravakayanas would be quite happy and feeling sufficient after receiving five powers, seven factors of enlightenment. But for bodhisattvas, they still seek the 10 powers of a Buddha and the discriminating Buddha, the wisdom of the Buddha's discriminating wisdom. Practicing the 8 noble paths is a practice of Theravada, but the bodhisattvas would also take pleasure in practicing ultimate path to Buddhahood. The Theravadas would be content by practicing such serenity in concentration and upon contemplation, but for bodhisattvas would not fall into any extremes of extinction or serenity. They would still practice to accelerating the factors of the path. The bodhisattvas, although practicing in an awareness of non-generation and non-extinction of Dharma, yet they still have a very dignified outlook. I know some people over here, they probably have already attained some enlightenment through the Madhyamika as well as Mahayati. But still, try to dress up a little. Yesterday, I saw some of them standing in front of the shop, and the shoes are just like a beggar's shoes. And at that time, I really believed that he must be an enlightened master. This is from my pure perception. I know it's very cold nowadays, but I think it's still quite important to have proper action and proper attire. In a sutra that's called Satyaka Niganta Putra Sutra, it's a very long name. In that sutra, it says that having realized the nature of all Dharma are peace, formless, and without true self, bodhisattvas show dignified appearance for the sake of all sentient beings. Why to dress up? Why to show dignified appearance? It is to benefit all sentient beings, especially in our modern world where we put so much emphasis on beautiful outlook. Unlike some masters, they would say that as lay practitioners, you should not dress up too luxuriously, you should be humble. Yes, that's true. You don't want to have too much attachment towards this. But on the other hand, I think people are too shallow. They only look at the outer appearance nowadays. They won't be able to see the inner enlightenment of people. Therefore, it's quite important to dress up properly to attract people. I think for lay practitioners, they have their proper attire, and for monastics, the monastics have their own proper actions and attire. But I notice the monastics, they don't even wash their face, brush, and so on. They don't really take care of their physical body. If you were to live in Africa, where there's scarce of water, then that's understandable. But in Tibetan Plateau, where nowadays we have such convenience of water, I think it's really not it's really not proper to just wash your face once a month or so. An old monk, in the monastery that I lived close to, when I was young, he often quote from Mipo Rinpoche's treatise on ethics for kings, where he would say that therefore the great bodhisattvas, though having no intention to dress up for the sake of guiding worldly people, appear in splendid array deliberately. I think it's quite important to dress up in such a way in order to have the sentient beings or the worldly people to have faith. So the actions of bodhisattvas are very different. Although being in accordance with the ultimate characteristic of purity of the Dharma, to manifest one's body where needed, this is practice of bodhisattva, just like bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara would manifest in 32 ways. So after understanding the teaching on emptiness, they would still manifest in different ways. People would say that why would bodhisattvas care so? Why would Buddhists care so much about all different worldly things? Just as last year, a tourist reporter was asking me, "How come you have coffee shop in Laronga?" Well, why would you say that? Why do you think that Buddhists should live in hell-realm-like environment? In fact, the Buddhist center should be very much, in fact, very much splendid, like the Buddha land, isn't it? Although contemplating on Buddha's countries or Buddha lands as permanently serene like space, yet manifest the various pure Buddha lands. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. In fact, this is the bodhisattva's actions, and although attaining the enlightenment of Buddhahood, turning the wheel of Dharma and entering nirvana, yet not to forsake the bodhisattva's path. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Due to the constraint of time, we have to go really quickly, but I think it's pretty clear. So at that time, when Vimalakirti explained the Dharma in these words, 8,000 gods, 8,000 gods. I think in the Xuanzang's version it says 800,000. 800 million gods. I think that's a little too much. So the translators matter a lot, and the translators sometimes they have different ways of translation. As Master Xuanzang is a great translator, but his numbers, the way he translated the numbers, are different. And the different versions, there are differences. I think nowadays people are too strict to translators, but translators are in fact not easy to be. Sometimes when I translate and make a few mistakes on one or two words, people would point at me and say, "Oh, you made a mistake here and there." I think you shouldn't be too harsh on translators. It's not an easy job. Just as over here, Master Xuanzang translated the number wrong. You should not point and say that to him. And we should end this by the Great Assembly led by Manjushri all gathered in intention to achieve Anatta Laksamaya Sangha Bodhi. We end here.